Hello everybody, welcome back to The Legend of Zelda. Finally, we're done with bug catching Princess. In this part, we're finally done with bug catching.
Have we even met Agatha yet?
No.
Not yet.
We're talking about the light bugs.
Then we're not done. What are you lying for?
We're done with mandatory
It's a
bugs.
specific-
Oh, no, actually, it should be The Legend of Zelda Midna Drowns Princess.
No, Midna's fine. She's on top of the wolf. It's Link that's gonna drown.
We have upgraded from a car to a boat.
I guess. Anyway, I like the idea of trying to get the bugs during the flying minigame, but if you miss one, you basically have to either go all the way, you should probably just kill yourself so that you can start it from the beginning again, because nobody wants to walk all the way back down to Lake Hylia in order to get a second chance.
At this,
Yeah.
So what you're saying is it's essentially trying to get all the boxes in one of the animal riding levels in Crash Bandicoot.
I mean, I suppose, yeah, but there's no life counter to worry. Thinking about it,
you're never worried about the life counter in that game.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know what happens in a Crash Bandicoot game if you get a game over. It's just go back to the beginning of the level without the checkpoint, I would imagine, right?
I think in the
Basically,
first game it was a little more unforgiving because of the way the save system worked, but in the second game I'm pretty sure you just get booted back into the warp room.
Yeah, so...
I honestly remember very, very precious little about Crash Bandicoot. I was not super into it.
Well, Crash has never really interested me for whatever reason. I can't give you a specific reason why. I just never wanted to learn more about it. When I was a kid, it was just oh, that guy exists, and I do not want to know anymore. And, it might be me being
I was the same way.
It might just be me being a Nintendo drone, but at the same time, Spyro interested me, and he was just as Sony-ish, so I don't know.
I think it just has more to do with what console did you have in the 90s growing up. Most of the time, people that are not interested in Crash had an N64 growing up, so they were likely to play Banjo-Kazooie over Crash Bandicoot.
That's fair.
Because Banjo's just better anyway, so,
You see, well, Ted, to turn it around, I didn't see much appeal in Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, well, that's because you're wrong. You're wrong.
Who's gotten the remixes? Who's gotten the remixes that are extremely good lately?
Spyro.
Well,
Yes.
What are you talking about? Ukulele is what everybody was hoping for.
so is every one of the Wolf songs a remix from Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask?
It's Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask together, yeah.
Yeah.
And one Wind Waker song.
For some reason.
There's a
Yeah.
Wind Waker song? I don't remember.
It's not one-to-one Wind Waker song, but it is the main theme, the one that you hear in the title screen.
Okay.
No, wait,
It's
no,
more of
that's
the- it's more of the
Pikmin.
it's more-
I was singing Pikmin.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if that's in this either.
It's more
but
the
more of the
percussion.
percussion. Yeah, the percussion.
All right. I don't really know why they have the minigame here, though, because
Would you stop doing that? I'm trying to listen to the tune, and you go fuck it up at the very end.
The beauty that is Wolf Howl.
you don't ever use the singing for anything else, I guess, is the thing. Which, to be fair, I don't mind. I always found it a little bit tedious that if I wanted to change the time of day or whatever, I had to play a song to do it first. But in this case, it just doesn't really need to be here at all. If we find the thing, then...
We should just find the thing.
Well, at this point, it's not even just finding... We have to find the stone to play the song to then find the hero's
The gold
shade
wolf.
somewhere else, I suppose,
It's a little weird.
I'm a little...
Way back there.
Oh,
At least they tell you where it is.
Well, you can't even talk to him unless if you have the...
Unless you get rid of the Twilight in the first place.
Yeah.
I really wish one of these conversations was I can't see shit in this thing.
What's that?
I don't see any sort of eye holes in this
What did
thing.
you just say? I'm sorry, can you...
I can't breathe in this thing.
I can't see a thing in this helmet. Star Wars reference. Wasn't that line just something Luke's actor, Mark Hamill, said while he was doing the scene, and they just kept it in?
So the original script of
Probably.
Star Wars was not very good. So I wouldn't be surprised if most of the iconic lines, if not all of them, were just ad-libbed. Because like Harrison Ford, if I remember correctly, like didn't take the entire thing seriously at all. It was just like, hey, it's a paycheck, pretty much, and he just dicked around the entire time. And I think
It ended up being super successful.
well, that's just how it goes. You know, stuff you don't care about people end up watching, and then stuff you do care about.
The only
nobody
one
cares.
I remember hearing something along those lines about was what's the original actor for Obi-Wan Kenobi? What's his name?
Oh God, the Ryan knows it. What's his name? Ryan.
Yeah, I'm surprised Ryan hasn't corrected Lewis at this
Well,
point.
I know his name. I just can't remember off the top of my head
Oh
for
God.
some reason.
Oh God.
Alec
who is-
Guinness.
Oh, there.
Alec
Oh yeah,
Guinness.
that's the one. Yeah, Alec Guinness. I remember him. I remember hearing that him being. He found it. I don't want to overplay it because a lot of this stuff does get overplayed when people talk about it online. I remember him not particularly liking that a lot of people knew him for Star Wars after that.
Yeah, because he won an Oscar for Bridge Over the River Kwai, and that was the movie he was really proud of. But people know him as Obi-Wan, so
Pop culture, yeah. Happens with games and stuff too.
Oh no, spooky Twilight beasts. They
come
really.
over here.
I do have to. I do have to confess. Oh,
You're freaking blocked.
yeah, that happens. I do have to confess a certain amount of cynicism for how the franchise has more or less taken over pop culture. Nothing
You
can
can't-
be standalone anymore.
It's. You see, it's frustrating because I agree with you, but at the same time, I think about like a game that I really enjoy. For example, is Codename Steam, and that's the kind of game that won't ever get a sequel. But even though I'm okay with it being standalone, I would like one. So I'm
I'm not
contributing to the
necessarily.
problem.
I'm not necessarily talking about games. I'm talking about pop culture in general. In fact, when it comes to games, I'm a little more forgiving about the whole franchise thing because there's a lot more mechanically to develop if you continue to go on from game to game in a certain franchise. You can evolve the way the game plays, and the franchise gives developers and publishers a viable way to do that without necessarily taking a huge risk every single time. But for movies and books, it's all about the story. There's nothing else but the story and the characters. So you're essentially choosing between giving people a story about something familiar or giving them a story that's entirely new with unfamiliar characters and unfamiliar situations.
I think it'll, I'm gonna be a little bit hopeful here, and I think it will, eventually, we will come around to having more new things, because it's just, feel like these things kind of go in waves.
Oh, yeah, eventually things wear out.
Eventually you
like,
run
yeah.
out of popular
Everyone gets
things.
franchise fatigue at some point.
yeah.
Like, for example, people talk a lot about superhero fatigue right now. Whenever people get tired of superhero movies, I don't know when that will be.
It happens, like, periodically. Like, there was superhero movie fatigue for a while before the Marvel Cinematic Universe reinvigorated
Well,
things.
to be fair, though, that really only lasted for a couple of years, because, like, people say that, oh, Batman and Robin killed the superhero movie, but Batman and Robin came out in, like, what, 98?
It wasn't
And
just
Sam
Batman
Raimi's-
and Robin, it was the general quality of the genre. Batman and Robin was just the culmination of all that shit.
Yeah, but
The,
you forget that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out, like, 3 years after that, though, is the thing.
And, I mean, I feel he doesn't get enough credit, but Blade also had a hand in that,
In the
too.
first X-Men as well.
In the first X-Men, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there was also some fatigue on superhero stuff in like the mid 2000s
think,
when
though?
when there was like the bad X-Men and Spider-Man 3 movies, but then Dark Knight,
Bad Daredevil.
then Dark
Yeah.
Knight and Iron Man came out and it stopped again. So
You know what I think, though? After Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just going to get tired of it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think we're going to see a big influx of people who just tired.
Yeah.
Or indifferent at the very best.
yeah, pretty much. Not that I expect the MCU to go away, But
No, it won't go away, but I think we'll see the numbers drop, and ultimately production will have to slow down.
probably, yeah. And it'll be
Ugh.
for the best, too, I think, personally.
Hey,
They
Except-
can't keep going with 3 movies a year.
Yeah, the movies maybe could use a break, but I'm still bitter about Netflix. The cancellation of Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist.
That's a Disney thing. And we
I
all
know, but it's also weird because you would think those shows in particular wouldn't fit like Disney's streaming service because it's supposed to be all family friendly.
They don't care. They want to own everything themselves.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I know, there are so many bugs to kill. This is the worst one.
That too.
Like, I mean...
That's why we went on the tangent.
Like,
Okay, I get Disney wants to own everything. It sounds like a logical business stance to take on the surface level. But, when everything in pop culture gets all fragmented and cordoned off into their own separate paid services,
well, no, you see, Disney's plan isn't for everything to be fragmented. Eventually, they want literally everything.
Yeah, but that's what happens when every goddamn company makes their own goddamn streaming service. Now everyone has to pay for like 1 or 2 channels at once, and then you're splitting the entire consumer base all apart into a bunch of different little rooms when they could all be together and all watching everything, which means more money for everyone.
Can't we just live together in harmony?
Well, the people who pay for just as an
No,
example,
the hypno Mickey ears that control his mind.
just as an example, the people who pay for just the Disney streaming service and just the DC streaming service, to pick one that I actually have dipped into, they're not going to be using that money on another streaming service that might have that might have other options. It's the reason Netflix is so popular is it's got all this stuff under one subscription.
Well, it was so popular, they're hemorrhaging money like nothing else.
Yeah, well...
Regardless, Bug Boss.
I do like that the boss of this area is like a giant bug. It's just like, okay, now we fight the big bug. Like,
I appreciate it, but it's still disgusting looking, and therefore I hate it.
It reminds me a lot of, I forgot the thing's name in Metroid Prime 2. There was a boss almost exactly like this. Only it was more emphasis on the wings.
It reminds me a lot of Lavos.
A little bit, yeah.
The cool looking part of Lavos, though, because True Lavos is lame. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, which version of True Lava? So there's technically 2.
There's technically 2. I only remember like the first one.
You fight the skin, you fight the outer shell, then you fight the thing inside the outer shell, and then you fight Frieza.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played Chrono Trigger in like 8 years, so I couldn't really.
It has been a long time for me too.
Yeah.
So it's just my vague memory that it just makes me think of
Either way,
what
your
I
favorite
remember.
form is the durian.
Yeah, the first one. Because I don't know, I just think
Yeah,
it looks It looks the most otherworldly and also threatening, I think, as well. It looks like a leech, which is what it's supposed to be doing to the planet. So.
Yeah, the internal form kind of is just like, okay, your Akira Toriyama is seriously showing now. It looks like Cell.
Yeah. So, okay, so the only bug catching sequence in the game that I absolutely don't like that I don't see any value in at all, is this last one. Because it goes on for at least a half an hour, and it's a lot of going back and forth. You can't even really get everything in one swoop around the Lineru area, because some bugs don't start appearing until you've been through. No, wait, no, I remember. You don't get the Tears of Light until you're halfway through anyway, so you have to go through everything again in order to get the bugs, which kind of defeats the purpose of the bug catching thing to me in the first place, which was, this is how you familiarize yourself with the area. But it's just like, I'm already familiar with the area, and now I also have to get bugs. Okay.
Yeah, it's this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's this kind of design, I feel, that people are thinking of when they treat the word backtracking as if it's some dirty curse word in the design language of video games.
Oh yeah, I agree. Because I don't mind backtracking as long as there's something fun to do along the way.
As long as it's done well
Backtracking,
and it's
or
like
I should say,
serves
like
a purpose.
the ability to cross back and forth across an environment can serve a purpose, and sometimes knowledge of the environment lends itself well to certain gameplay elements. Like, we're playing the Resident Evil 2 remake right now. You go through the station once, exploring as you go, probably pretty slowly. Then you go through the station again with Mr. X on your tail, and suddenly all that knowledge of the environment is really important. Or you just weren't paying attention the first time through, and you're bumbling around like an idiot, and that's gonna get you killed, probably.
Oh, it looks like Link
That would be me.
glitched his way into the cutscene for the beginning of the game. This is something you can't actually do in Ocarina of Time. If you clip out of bounds, you can glitch your way into the cutscene that like has the spirits going around and creating the world. So you can't actually like stand in that.
I was gonna say, like, it looks like
2D triangles.
I was gonna say it looks like a level from Nights into Dreams, but
A little bit.
Okay, so this scene is really, really bizarre to me because they bring up a whole bunch of symbolism here and whatever that never gets brought up again. Like Ilia being evil and like Link having copies and whatnot, and the backstory for the Twilight is bizarre and dark, and like they're evil, but they weren't really evil. They were just sacrilegious, or I don't even know.
I want the clip for Monty Python of him slowly trying to get to the castle but never quite getting there.
this looks like if it were animated a little better and just a little more elaborate, it would make for a fantastic Fantasia music video.
What happened to the Triforce, though? Like, I told John Gray from Ocarina at time. No, I only got time for a PNG, guys. I'm sorry.
It's okay, though. You can use it in this new Spirits mode.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Oh, Link just got Thanos! Oh, no! Wait, no,
He
Link
became Thanos.
My
Link
first thought
Thanos
was,
himself?
since
What?
we were talking about it earlier, my first thought was X-Men 3.
Can we not talk about how Jean Grey did shit in that movie?
That was a terrible movie, yeah.
You
Yes,
want to know what's also
jeez.
great is that they're doing Dark Phoenix again, and it's going to be just as bad. Yay!
Man. Someone should just put a stop to them.
Oh, you
hate
see,
this
you know what?
frame.
That's the kind
This
of thing
frame.
you'd see in a Gmod video. Now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah. No, a little more smiling.
It'd also be that's what you would see in Jump Force.
I completely forgot this cutscene was here, by the way.
I do
think I
every
might
time. It's so
I feel
bizarre.
like everyone does until you see it again, and then it's just like, oh yes, I remember everything, and why?
It's the weird fever dream you're trying not to remember. I get trying to make the Twilight stuff seem mysterious and that the fused shadow should be I think that they were trying with the fused shadow, I think that they were trying to make it a bigger part of the story at some point, and like this idea of, oh, you're potentially playing with something that's outside of your control and whatnot, but
Except it totally is in our control.
yeah, because instead what they do halfway through the game is Zant steals most of it, and then you just forget that it exists until the very end of the game for the climax where it can give Midna superpowers, pretty much. So,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I wouldn't be surprised if this game underwent some rewrites at certain points, and, you know, certain ideas were added and dropped and whatnot. Every game goes through that. But I would have loved to see...
explain why there's like 0.02 build up for Ganondorf.
Yeah, like, I would
That
not...
makes me sad.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ganondorf was like a last year or last 6 months edition or whatever.
I would be more surprised if he was planned to be that way, honestly.
Well, I mean, I could see that too, where, you know, they had planned like the final sword fight with him and they always wanted it to be there, but then they built up all this other lore and it didn't really make sense for him to be there, but they wanted to... there could have been a number of different things. I'm really
true.
interested to see what the original plans for the Fused Shadow were and, like, what the hell, like, when was Ganondorf added? Because... yeah.